Hello and welcome to my channel. Let's learn psychology. Today we are talking about attention directing tools, and we discussed many other attention directing tools, but today we are talking one of the most important attention directing tool, that is consequences and sequel. It is called as C and S. This consequences. Why we need to think about consequences? Because when we are thinking, that thinking has a goal to get an outcome, so we are thinking. That outcome can be a decision, a choice, a new startup, applying for a transfer, job switch, anything it can be. So when our thinking results into an action, so that action has its consequences. So every action has got its own consequences, but while thinking, we need to consider about the consequences of our thinking. Since that action is going to happen after our thinking and that result will come in future, so we have to think in terms of future. What is going to happen? Since it is future, it cannot be 100% certain. So that aspect we have to keep it in our mind. We will never get 100% certain, so we have to operate within that limitation. Consequences, what we need to think. Will it work? What are the benefits? What are the risks? What are the costs involved? So in part of consequence, we also need to think like in terms of time. What is the immediate, what is the short term, then what is the medium term consequence, what is the long term consequence, what can be the long term consequences. So all these factors need to be considered while thinking. That is, let us take one example. Do we need to buy electric car or petrol car? Let's do C and S for this. Consequences. So if you buy an electric car, your upfront cost will be higher compared to other cars. Petrol car, it will be some 30 to 40% higher. For example, if a petrol car cost is 10 lakh, you will be getting electric car for 14 to 16 lakh rupees. That is one aspect. That is we can call that is immediate consequence. So you are supposed to pay higher amount, but still you need to worry about charging places, charging stations. Whether wherever you are living, whether charging stations are available or not. So likewise, medium term, long term, what can happen? Long term, it is good for environment. It's good for people walking on the street. It's good for everybody in the long term. Since petrol car is costing, running cost is 10 lakh rupees, and your electric car running cost is 2 lakh rupees, and after 1 lakh kilometer you are replacing the battery. Let us assume that is going to cost 5 lakh rupees. Still you are in the benefit of 3 lakh rupees. And here we are not discussing about the environmental benefits, health benefits of the people living around, and the value that it brings. Value is an important aspect. When I was buying car, I thought it must be an Indian made, but that can be anything for anyone. So that value aspect also comes into play. Consequences and sequel is a very important factor to be considered in thinking. So this brings us our part 5 of how to think. And let me tell you, according to Edward D. Bono, this consequences factor into their thinking is difficult for young people. Let me tell you one example. I wrote one letter to one of my friends. It's a very friendly letter, 20 years before. And after while writing, I thought nothing will happen, or whatever happens, let me see. I don't care thing attitude. It was a postal letter, so it took some 7 to 8 days, and after reaching that letter, next day, my friend's father came after drinking, and he created a lot of hangama there. So even today I remember that young people generally don't care about consequences, and we have to learn to take consequences as an important factor in your thinking.